Hey guys, happy Tuesday. It is a little later in the day, well, a lot later in the day. My morning kind of just flew by before I realized it. It was after 10 o'clock. So I'm doing this now and it is 6, almost 6:30 in the evening. So I'm going to read for as long as I can in that. I'm trying to do in half an hour, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I have dinner in the oven, so I'm trying to hurry up. It was the only time that I was going to have. So I'm just going to start from where we left off yesterday. Quick prayer. Lord, I thank you for this day, God. I thank you, Lord, for just waking us up this morning. Thank you for all that you've done, all that you're doing, and all that you're going to do, God. I just pray, God, that this reading, this journey that you have me on, reading through the Bible here on YouTube, I pray that it's a blessing to someone. If it touches just one, if there's just one person that finds this useful for them as a good tool for their walk with you, Lord, I'm grateful. And Lord, I just pray that you bring anyone to this video that needs your word, and that is what I'm trying to do, trying to be obedient and do what you've told me to do. And God, I just pray that you are glorified, and I pray, God, that you're able to touch those that are watching. In Jesus' name, thank God and amen. Sorry, I'm a little flustered in my mind. I'm trying to focus on a couple of things at once, so excuse me. But I'm going to go ahead and get started. We are still in Deuteronomy, and we are now in chapter 4. So again, I'm going to read, excuse me, I'm going to read as much as I can. And I'm still recovering from some oral procedures that I had done, so please excuse me if there's some mumbling or something like that. All right, chapter 4. Now, Israel, in light of all that, listen to the regulations and the case laws that I am teaching you to follow, so that you may live, enter, and possess the land that the Lord your ancestors' God is giving to you. Don't add anything to the word that I am commanding you, and don't take anything away from it. Instead, keep the commands of the Lord your God that I am commanding all of you. You saw with your own eyes that the Lord did wait. You saw with your own eyes what the Lord did concerning the Baal of Peor. The Lord your God destroyed everyone who followed the Baal of Peor, but all of you who stayed true to the Lord your God are alive today. So pay attention. I am teaching all of you the regulations and the case laws exactly as the Lord my God commanded me. You must do these in the land you are entering to possess. Keep them faithfully because that will show your wisdom and insight to the nations who will hear about all these regulations. They will say, "Surely this great nation is a wise and insightful people." After all, is there any great nation that has gods as close to it as the Lord our God is close to us whenever we call to him? Or does any great nation have regulations and case laws as righteous as all this instruction that I am setting before you today? But be on guard and watch yourselves closely so that you don't forget the things your eyes saw, and so they never leave your mind as long as you live. Teach them to your children and your grandchildren. Remember that day, remember that day when you stood before the Lord your God at Horeb, when the Lord said to me, "Gather the people to me. I will declare my words to them so that they will learn to fear me every day of their lives on the fertile land, and teach their children to do the same." Then you all came close and stood at the foot of the mountain. The mountain was blazing with fire up to the sky, with darkness, cloud, and thick smoke. The Lord spoke to you out of the very fire itself. You heard the sound of words, but you didn't see any form. There was only a voice. The Lord declared his covenant to you, which he commanded you to do, the 10 Commandments, and wrote them on 2 stone tablets. At that time, the Lord commanded me to teach you all the regulations and the case laws that you must keep in the land that you are entering to possess. So watch your conduct closely, because you didn't see any form on the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the very fire it's so watch. So watch your conduct closely, because you didn't see any form on the day the Lord spoke to you at Horeb out of the very fire itself. Don't ruin everything and make an idol for yourself, a form of any image, any likeness, male or female, or any likeness whatsoever, whether of a land animal, a bird that flies in the sky, an insect that crawls on the earth, or a fish that lives in the sea. Don't look to the skies, to the sun or the moon or the stars, all the heavenly bodies, and be led astray, worshiping and serving them. The Lord your God has granted these things to all the nations who live under heaven. But the Lord took you and brought you out of that iron furnace, out of Egypt, so that you might be his own treasured people, which is what you are right now. The Lord was angry with me because of your deeds, and swore that I couldn't cross the Jordan River or enter the wonderful land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. I will die here in this land. I won't cross the Jordan River, but you will, and you will take possession of that wonderful land. So all of you, watch yourselves. Don't forget the covenant that the Lord your God made with you by making an idol or an image of any kind, or anything the Lord your God forbids, because the Lord your God is an all-consuming fire. He is a passionate God. Once you have had children and grandchildren and have grown old on the land, if you ruin things by making an idol in any form whatsoever, and do what is evil in the eyes of the Lord your God and anger him, I call heaven and earth as my witness against you today. You will definitely disappear, and quickly, from the land that you are crossing over the river Jordan to possess. You won't extend your time there, but will instead be totally destroyed. The Lord will scatter you among the nations. Only a very few of you will survive in the countries where the Lord will drag you. There you will worship other gods, made of wood and stone by human hands, gods that cannot see, listen, eat, or smell. You will seek the Lord your God from there, and you will find him if you seek him with all your heart and with all your being. In your distress, when all things happen to you in the future, you will return to the Lord your God, and you will obey his voice, because the Lord your God is a compassionate God. He won't let you go. He won't destroy you, and he won't forget the covenant that he swore to your ancestors. Now look into it. In today's long past, before your time, all the way back to the day God created human beings on earth, from one end of heaven to the other. Has anything this amazing ever happened? Has anything like it ever before? Has anything like it ever been heard of before? Has any people ever listened to a God's voice speaking out of fire, as each of you, and survived? Or has any God ever tried to take one nation out of another nation using tests, miracles, wonders, war, a strong hand, an outreached arm, or an awesome power like all that the Lord your God did for you in Egypt while you watched? You were shown these things so that you would know this. The Lord is the only God. There is no other God except him. From heaven he made you hear his voice in order to discipline you. On earth he showed you his great fire. You heard his words from that very fire, and because he loved your ancestors and chose your descendants after them, God brought you out God brought you out of Egypt with his own presence, by his own great power, in order to remove larger and stronger nations from before you and bring you into their land, giving it to you as an inheritance. That's where things stand right now. Know then today and keep in mind that the Lord is the only God in heaven above or on earth below. There is no other. Keep the Lord's regulations and his commandments. I'm commanding them to you today for your well-being and for the well-being of your children after you, so that you may extend your time on the fertile land that the Lord your God is giving you forever. Then Moses set aside 3 cities on the eastern side of the Jordan River, so that anyone who killed someone accidentally and without prior hatred could flee to one of these cities and be safe. Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau for the Reubenites, Ramoth in Gilead for the Gadites, and Golan in Bashan for the Manassites. Now this is the instruction that Moses set before the Israelites. There are the laws. These are the laws and the regulations and the case laws that Moses spoke to the Israelites when they came out of Egypt. This took place across the Jordan River. In the valley opposite Beth Peor, in the land of Sihon, the Amorite king who ruled in Heshbon, whom Moses and the Israelites defeated when they came out of Egypt. They took possession of his land and the land of Og, Bashan's king, the 2 Amorite kings across the Jordan River to the east, from Aroer, which is on the banks of the Arnon River, all the way to Mount Sion, also known as Hermon, and all the desert regions across the Jordan River on the east, down to the Dead Sea, beneath the slopes of Mount Pisgah. Let me see. Okay, I'm going to read chapter 5, and then I'm going to stop. Sorry, my son is in the background there. All right, so chapter 5. Let me get a drink of water. Moses called out to all Israel, saying to them, Israel, listen to the regulations and the case laws that I'm recounting in your hearing right now. Learn them and carefully do them. The Lord our God made a covenant with us at Mount Horeb. The Lord didn't make this covenant with our ancestors, but with us, all of us who are here and alive right now. The Lord spoke with you face to face on the mountain from the very fire itself. At that time, I was standing between the Lord and you, declaring to you the Lord's word, because you were terrified of the fire and didn't go up on the mountain. The Lord said, I am the Lord your God who brought you out of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You must have no other gods before me. Do not make an idol for yourself, no form whatsoever of anything in the sky above, or on the earth below, or in the waters under the earth. Do not bow down to them or worship them, because I, the Lord your God, am a passionate God. I punish children for their parents' sins, even to the 3rd and 4th generation of those who hate me. But I am loyal and gracious to the 1,000th generation of those who love me and keep my commandments. Do not use the Lord your God's name as if it were of no significance. The Lord won't forgive anyone who uses his name that way. Keep the Sabbath day and treat it as holy, exactly as the Lord your God commanded. 6 days you may work and do all your tasks, but the 7th day is a Sabbath to the Lord your God. Don't do any work on it, not you, your sons or daughters, your male or female servants, your your oxen or donkeys, or any of your animals, or the immigrant who is living among you, so that your male and female servants can rest just like you. Remember that you were a slave in Egypt, but the Lord your God brought you out of there with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. That's why the Lord your God commands you to keep the Sabbath day. Honor your father and your mother, exactly as the Lord your God requires, so that your life will be long and so that things will go well for you on the fertile land that the Lord your God is giving you. Do not kill, do not commit adultery, do not steal, do not testify falsely against your neighbor, do not desire or try to take your neighbor's wife. Do not crave your neighbor's house, field, male or female servant, ox, donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. These are the words the Lord spoke to your entire assembly with a loud voice while on the mountain. From the midst of the fire, the cloud, and the thick smoke. He added no more. God wrote them on 2 stone tablets, then gave them to me. Now once you heard the voice from the darkness while the mountain was blazing with fire, you came to me. More specifically, all the chiefs of your tribes and your elders came, and you said, "Look here, the Lord our God has shown us his glory and greatness. We've heard his voice come out of the fire itself. We've seen firsthand that God can speak to a human being and they can survive. But why should we die? Surely this massive fire will consume us. If we hear any more of the Lord our God's voice, we will die." Is there anyone who has heard the living God's voice speaking out of the very fire itself, like we have, and survived? You go and listen to all that the Lord our God says. Then tell us all that the Lord our God speaks to you. We'll listen and we'll do it. The Lord heard what you said when you said this to me. The Lord then told me, I heard what the people said when they spoke with you. Everything they suggest is good. If only their minds were like this, always fearing me and keeping all my commandments, so that things would go well for them and their children forever. Go and tell them, you may go back to your tents, but you, Moses, must stay here with me. I will tell you all the commandments, the regulations, and the case laws that you must teach the Israelites to do in the land that I am giving them to possess. You must carefully do exactly what the Lord your God commands you. Don't deviate even a bit. You must walk the precise line that the Lord your God indicates for you so that you will live, and so that things will go well for you, and so you will extend your time on the land that you will possess. And I am going to end right there. And I will be back tomorrow, prayerfully, first thing in the morning. I'm going to try and get started before I do anything else. But that was Deuteronomy. We did 4 and 5. So tomorrow I'll come back and do chapter 6 until whatever half an hour it takes me to. That is it for today, guys. I pray that this was a blessing to you. And if you haven't already, please be sure to hit that like button, subscribe button, and notification bell so you're notified every time I upload a new video, and so you can keep up with the reading through the Bible. And there is a playlist that has from Genesis up until now. And I'll just upload this one in that same, what was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Yeah, so I have all of it in one location so you can look at it all there. That is it for today. Until next time, guys, be blessed and be the reason someone smiles. Bye.